thank you very much. April, could we let the record show that we are all present, please?
Yes.
All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda, and I do have a few things I would like to change here, if it's all right with everyone. First of all, we have Eric here, our bond counsel, and we would like to move item C to item A under new business. He has some other things to do tonight, and we'd like to do that. Second of all, I would like to add a discussion about Art and Park, and I'd like to add that to the B, and then move the others down in line accordingly. And I would also like to add K under new business. And this one is a consideration of an agreement between Charter Township of Lyon and the Villas of Crystal Creek Condominium Association and Crystal Creek Villas 2 Association, and approval and acceptance of sanitary sewer easements for Villas 1 and 2 and condo amendment to serve the Lyon Township Park Library.
Support.
Does everybody get that?
He supported.
So can I ask a question, John? You
Sure.
said K, because that's.
K would be the, because we're gonna move these down.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Thank you.
are you good with that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Is everyone good with that? You still good?
That's what
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move on to announcements and communications, and I have a short announcement that I'd just like to congratulate the trustees for getting back to the board at least the first round. And I'd also like to say to the public that thank you so much for standing behind our police and our fire and getting that millage to pass. I mean, they've been wonderful to the township, and there was no additional cost to the millage, and it's just gonna assure us good protection and safety for the next 10 years. And I wanted to thank everybody in Lyon Township, all the township residents for that. Very appreciated. Thanks.
Could I also say
Go ahead.
thank you to all of the people who had worked the election? We had over 100 people working in all the polls and absentee counting boards. Unfortunately, we had a very low turnout. It was only 25.82%, but we went ahead and had early voting 9 days, and Lyon Township had 159 voters come out for that. Milford had 54 because we're a combined site. But our absentee voters were still in high numbers, 65.22%, or 3,315 absentees we processed on election day. So everybody did a great job, and I do appreciate everybody who volunteers to work, because it really is a volunteer day. It's a very long day. So thank you, and thanks again, and glad all the trustees got through and first round, and we'll see what happens in November. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anybody else? All right, seeing no one else, we're gonna move to call to the public, where you can come up and talk about non-agenda related items. Please give your name and address for the record.
Hi,
How you doing?
Lisa Purvis, 58545 Pontiac Trail. I have a comment regarding the art in the park, but I heard it just got added, so will
Yeah,
there
yeah,
be another opportunity?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, that's why we put it on, so you have a
Okay.
discussion, okay?
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to come on up and, thanks? All right, seeing none, then we're gonna move to reports. First report in line is the DDA.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just a few highlighted items from my director's report that I submitted for the packets. I wanted to let you know we were able to attend North Oaks Dental. They're a new dentist office down on Grand River, just on the other side of where the Robertson homes are going to be developed. They are very excited to be involved in the community, looking forward to getting involved in events and volunteering. They've already been out to a few of our volunteer committee meetings, so we're really excited. Be sure to stop in and say hello. I also had the opportunity to attend a meeting with some of the other directors from DDAs in Southeast Oakland County. We're going to be collaborating on a possible program for next year that gets all of our communities involved. So look for more information on that. I've been working with our board, and we are going to be presenting a proposal for a strategic planning session with our full board, all our committee and volunteers that we're hoping to have this fall at some point. So I should have more information on that next meeting. Everyone is invited out next week for Gus's carryout. We're going to be doing a ribbon cutting for them on Tuesday, August 13th from 2 to 3. They're going to be giving out free samples, so please stop by. At 2:30, we'll actually have the ribbon cutting, but they've been doing really great business over there, so we're very excited for them. And then to highlight some of our upcoming events from our promotions committee, you can see some of the pictures rotating through for events that we've had so far this summer. We had our June music on the event, our music on the grand events that went very well. We averaged between 200 to 350 people at each one. We've had great weather for those. And then we also had our Touch a Truck event, which was run by Justine Jovanovski with Never Look Back Vacations and Steve Grant, who is the store manager over at Lowe's, where they host the event. We had fantastic participation. Over 500 attended. We had 24 participating companies, 3 food trucks, face painting, the sheriff's department, fire department were all involved. Had a really good time. We went through, I believe, 300 goodie bags for the kids within the first hour, so it was a great turnout. Again, we got hit by weather once that 2 o'clock time frame started, so I think next year we're just going to go 12 to 2, because each year we're getting hit at 2 o'clock. We have additional music on the grand events coming up. Next week, we have Captain Fantastic Detroit, which is Elton John tribute band. And we're going to be doing our volunteer appreciation night, so we'll be recognizing all the volunteers that work with us throughout the year. Between 75 and 100 volunteers come out. We're also going to have a couple special guests there that night, including Miss Michigan for America, who will be out helping us attend or give out some awards for the evening. And she'll be doing a meet and greet table. And August 21st is our rescheduled date, and we'll have Detroit Retro Society out joining us and Bueno Tacos food truck. So come out to that. That will be our last one for the year. And our Economic Vitality Committee is starting with some networking events. They're going to be hosting a business short stories on Monday, September 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Warbirds of Glory Museum over at the airport. So you can register online for that. Then we have our Michigan Downtown Day coming up on September 28th. And then this fall, again, we'll be hosting our Scarecrows on the Grand project. So we're looking for businesses to get involved and individuals. And our History on the Grand event will be on Friday, October 11th, where we do a guided historical walk through the downtown district. And we have New Hudson Inn and Wholehearted Winery are going to be providing each registered participant with a free appetizer that night. So when you get done with the tours, we can encourage you to stop into our local businesses. Are there any questions?
It sounds like you have a lot going on, which is good.
Absolutely.
It's really good. Okay, we're going to move on. Chief Madeline, Fire Department.
Good evening. First off, I'd also like to thank the township residents for their continued support in passing our millage last night. Next up, for this month, the month of May, our Fire Prevention Bureau did 131 inspections, totaling over 975,000 square feet, bringing us to 350 inspections for the year, just under 5 million square feet total so far. This month, for the month of August, our guys will be focusing on fire attack for the training, and over the last month, they averaged about 7 hours worth of training per person. Run numbers are up 17 from last year. July of 23, we were at 1102, and for July of 24, we're at 1119. We got our ISO score back. So we did a ISO review over the last couple of months. Fire Marshal Harbin and myself were hard at work with the rest of the team at the fire department there. We were prior a 4/10. This year, with some scoring changes at ISO and a bunch of other, they raised the bar across the board on all of the targets that we were trying to meet, and we were able to drop the 10 and stay just a consistent 4 across the township. So it wasn't a huge improvement, but it was an improvement nevertheless. So we're very proud of that. They were actually saying that a lot of people are having a hard time maintaining the score that they're currently at because they've raised the bar so high. So we are very, very happy with our scores on that. I'm proud to announce that we were just notified that we'll be receiving a grant from the Department of Labor and Economics from the state of Michigan for just under $42,000, which will allow us to purchase a second set of fire gear for all of the full-time staff over at the fire department, which will help keep them clean after fires, get them into cleaner gear and out of that dirty, contaminated stuff sooner to help lower the chances of getting cancer later on in life. We have also applied for two additional grants, Firehouse Subs. We're looking to get some new ice rescue stuff and potentially some inflatable boats in the tune of just under $22,000. We're waiting to hear back on that. And then we just learned that Dickey's Barbecue has the same grant program, kind of like Firehouse Subs. So we applied for a grant for them. Their threshold is a little bit lower. We're trying to get some fun new helmets to go with some of our new gear we just got. We asked for just under $10,000 from them. Hopefully in the next handful of months here, we'll hear back from them one way or the other. And hopefully I'll be reporting good news on those. For those of you who had the opportunity, our new brush truck is in service. It's parked out there in the parking lot tonight. Like before I said, it's replacing two apparatus converted into one. This one will serve us a lot better with our future needs here in the township. If you guys pay attention to our Facebook page, you'll see fairly recently the firefighters installed a patio down at Station 2 with some donations they received from businesses in the township. Stone Depot was a huge contributor, South Line Fence, and then also just recently, Lion Homescape kindly dropped off a brand new picnic table to the patio down there. So the crew has got a real nice picnic table to sit on in the patio back there now. So I'd like to thank them. Without those partnerships, projects like that definitely would not be possible. I was able to get, we had a hydraulic fuel or oil spill down here by the construction there by Zott and the apartments. We were able to do a cost recovery, and I just got the check today for the total expenses that we were out for our department and the hazmat team's response to that. And then last but not least, if you guys get the opportunity, please go to the Lyon Township website, Fire Department tab, and take a look at all of the work that we've done on that website. We've done a lot of updating over the last couple of months, trying to bring it up with the times, get a lot more information on there, more readily available to the residents, that just about any question that they'd be calling us for, they should be able to get answered off the internet and get the answer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they need more information, they can always reach out to our department, and we'd be glad to answer anything else. You guys got any questions for me?
How
Great
often
report.
are those ISO reviews done typically?
It's supposed to be done every 4 to 5 years. Depends on their staffing and how fast, but our last one wasn't, it was done in 2017 and 18. Because of COVID, it's been a handful of years that they've been able to get out, and now they try to do every 4 to 5, but sometimes it's 6, 7, 8. It's just a matter of when they come knocking on your door and say, we're ready to do an eval. Anything else?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
That's a great report. All right, we'll move on. Lieutenant Whitfield.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
First and foremost, I too would like to thank the members of the community for their continued support with the yes vote for our operating millage. My staff and I are extremely honored to be able to provide the same level of service that I'm sure our residents have become accustomed to. So again, thank you. Thank you all. First order of business is, let me preface this by saying that the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and the Michigan State Police, we have a wonderful working relationship, right? We rely on each other to get the job done, and that job is serving members of the community. So a couple of weeks ago, I was part of an email thread with my bosses and a representative from the state police. They informed us that they would like Lyon Township to be primary on all calls for service moving forward on the freeway. They have a new direction, they have a new protocol, and again, I take orders like everyone else, so my department has agreed to this. I was under the impression that we were being serviced by the Metro North Post. It turns out we're actually being serviced by the Groveland Post, which is over an hour away. We've never really let the response time stop us from assisting. It was always just been an issue. If we're busy, tied up in our community, then we would call them to assist. But moving forward, that's no longer the case. We will be primary. We will get the job done. We want to keep people waiting. I believe we discussed this. We have a plan in place. We talked about it at last year's budgetary meeting. We already have a plan in place that was dependent upon this millage to add an additional traffic car. So I think we will be covered to make that response. But I just felt that it was important to communicate the information to you all as to the direction that was taken. All right. Next up, Oakland County Sheriff's Office has changed towing companies. We now have Hadley Towing as our primary towing agency that is responsible for our police-related tolls. Their telephone number is 248-471-5763. They have an address in Novi of 48661 Grand River Avenue. So moving forward, that's who we'll be utilizing for any police-related tolls. And the last thing on my list is, I sound like a broken record mentioning it, but this incident is worthy of note. The scams that I mentioned so frequently. Last week, one of our residents actually, his wife called up to the substation and indicated that her husband had warrant out for his arrest for missing jury duty, and they were on the phone demanding $6,000. We told him repeatedly that that was false, but he did follow up by coming up to the substation and indicating that, hey, he wanted to make sure he did not have a warrant. And he said they were very convincing. They kept him on the phone for 45 minutes, but he did the right thing in that scenario. He was almost ready to pay it, but reasonableness prevailed, and he did come up to verify that he does not, in fact, have a warrant. So I like to say it again, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office will never call you demanding money for a warrant in the form of, Bitcoin or iTunes or whatever method that they're demanding payment in these days. It's my understanding that these types of entities have actually invested millions of dollars in their infrastructure to help facilitate these crimes. They're building more phone towers, faster internet networks in all these countries to help make Americans victims, and I'd like to deny them that opportunity at every opportunity that we get. So please don't fall for any scams. Call us. They did the right thing. They called us and they came up to speak with us even when they were unsure. With that said, that concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you, Lieutenant.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, we're gonna move on to the Planning Commission. Patty?
Okay, we only had one meeting in the month of July, and it was Monday, July 8th. And we did have one public hearing, and that was on our 2024 master plan. Brian, we actually adopted it, but there were a few notes. It was out to the public for comment for the 63 days that are required. And we did have just a few comments, a few from Oakland County Zoning Committee, and we were very pleased with it, and Brian did a great job and his team, and so it was adopted on our Planning Commission meeting on July 8th. So we have a new 2024 master plan. We had no old business. Under new business, we did have the Sun Outdoors, Kensington Valley, the educational trail in the Dinosaur Park, and they were asking for an extension of approval. And I know Brian recommended 3 months because we are anxiously awaiting for a full site plan review from them. But we agreed to give them a 6-month extension, and they feel that they can complete their full site plan to bring it back to the Planning Commission. And so we did extend it for 6 months. We also had the Lyon Township Public Library and Future Park Site Plan Review, and that went very well, and the Planning Commission approved that also. There were just a couple things to note that I know the group is still working at the time of this. They were still working a little bit with DTE and some consumer energy, so some utilities they're wrapping up. And then the Planning Commission just had a few questions regarding the widening of the road. The landscape person, I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he did a wonderful job explaining the landscaping, and that maybe when we get ready to do the park part, that maybe we can maybe use the same landscaping person. He really had some great designs and ideas, and I thought he did a great job. Not that everybody else didn't, they did. And then our beloved Jim, Chuck, always asks about the dumpster location, so it makes us laugh because we just adore him and we know he's gonna bring that up. So we had a little discussion about the dumpsters. So anyways, that got approved. And then, actually, we just had the community reports, and that was the end of our meeting. And we didn't have the second one in July because we didn't have really enough on the agenda. So that was our report.
Okay, any questions?
You're good, okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to the ZBA. Lisa?
Well, I am sad to report that
Oh,
there was
no.
no July meeting. And no August
We're gonna have to
meeting.
get you on something else.
I know, I think I should, but I did want to point out that, and I know I've mentioned this before, I do think that this is a result of us working so well with our planning department, finding the ordinances that might be out of date, or maybe a result of different trends that are happening in building, and what our residents are coming to us asking for, that, so that we can change the ordinance to alleviate some of those concerns, so they don't have to keep coming to a ZBA meeting, although I enjoy them greatly. But Brian, stop doing such a good job.
I'll try.
Okay.
That is fact too. It is the job of getting it all put in line and, you know, it's a good thing actually.
But I would like a September meeting, if we could.
Mark Schneider is very thankful.
He is,
He's the one that it falls on his back. Anyways.
he is. All right, we're gonna move on to the building department. Well, I say unfortunately, good for him, he's on vacation. So he is out. We don't have that report. And then on to the water report. Well, the good news is that we're pretty much online with the plant, the new plant in September, hopefully to break some ground, to get some footings in. And the other good news is we've had a lot of rain. And I know a lot of rain probably isn't good for a lot of people, but it's very good for our treatment plant getting to the next phase of treatment, because a lot of people aren't watering their lawns. And we spend the dive from 1 million gallons a day in the winter to 5 million and 7 million gallons a day in the summer is incredible. And that's the hurdle that we got over pretty much this year. So we're in pretty good shape, and everything has been running pretty well, and very few glitches in the system, and it's all been good. Anyone have anything they want to ask about that? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the public hearing. The first public hearing is on the special assessment roll for general purposes, 24-120 and 24-130. And Patty, you want to explain that
Yes.
really quick? And
Our general purpose role is for delinquencies that are not a special assessment or a bond issue. They're, if you're delinquent in your water, sewer, if we have to mow your lawn, if we have to do a demolition, it's like the mixing bowl of everything that we are able to recollect our funds that the public has expended for. And so that's what, this is a public hearing for that general purpose role. And
Okay.
I'll explain more as the
if
agenda.
there's questions. Okay, so that being said, we are going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:23 for this special assessment roll for general purposes. And this is where anybody in the public can come up to the microphone and ask any questions about that. Okay, we're seeing no one coming up, so we're going to close the public hearing at 6:24. And we're going to move on to the next public hearing, which is reprogramming of federal community development block grant funds. And Brian has been taking care of that. So Brian, could you go ahead and explain that before we open the public hearing quickly for us?
I will. So the purpose of this reprogramming is a request to the Township Board to reallocate how we spend some of your CDBG money. You can see in the example resolution that's in your packet, we have 5 program years where we're finding it difficult for youth services to be spent. SLARA has a very limited focus as to where they can spend the CDBG funds, which is on things like camp admissions and tutoring and things like that. They don't always have an opportunity to spend that money. However, we do have the opportunity to, or you have spent above and beyond what we typically give to the senior centers. So we think there's opportunities to better utilize those funds, and we're suggesting that as part of this reprogramming, we swap around how we do some of our budgeting in the future so that SLARA still gets their same total amount of money. senior center would get a little bit less out of general fund and would get additional out of the CDBG. So that's how we'd like to move forward. That gives Lara a lot more flexibility in how they can spend money on other programs. So that's what this reprogramming is for. We will go backwards if you so approve this resolution this evening. We'll go back several years and submit reimbursement requests based on this, and we can close out these program years for the township.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. And I hope everyone kind of understood that. I mean, it's a little bit involved, but we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing at 6:26 for the reprogramming of the CDBG funds. And if anyone would like to come to the microphone and ask any questions about that, now's the time to do so. Okay, seeing none, we're going to close that public hearing at 6:26. And that'll conclude our public hearings for tonight. All right, we're going to move on to unfinished business, and this is the second reading of the consideration of the adoption of the conditional rezoning of 21-200 Pontiac Trail. And I believe everything is exactly the way it was the first reading, right, Brian?
It is a little bit of progress that is shown in your packet this evening. You do have an ordinance number 04-24, which talks about the specifics. One of the conditions of approval is the combination of this portion of land that is being conditionally rezoned, and the owners have submitted that for processing through the township. So they're already following through on some of these conditions of approval. Should you approve the second reading this evening, we'll update the zoning map and publish the new update on the township website.
Okay.
Move the adoption of AP 24-45, which is ordinance 04-24.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are going to go ahead and move on to new business. And the first item in new business is the consideration to approve Resolution 2024-26, authorizing issuance of unlimited tax general obligation bonds, Series 2024 for new Lyon Township Public Library facilities. Eric, did you want to come on up and kind of give a little bit about that? And thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Thanks for having me and accommodating my schedule this evening. The resolution before you is very similar to other resolutions you've seen when we issue limited tax bonds. The difference here is these bonds were approved by the voters in 2022. This resolution authorizes issuance of bonds up to the $13 million approved by the voters. It authorizes the treasurer and the supervisor to take the actions and sign the documents that are necessary to complete the sale through a competitive sale process. And then the resolution also sets the parameters within which that authority can be exercised. We don't anticipate needing to come back to the board if this resolution is adopted unless there's something screwy happens with the market and we need to change the parameters at some point to fit a bond issue in. But this would be the final formal action to be taken by the board this evening with respect to these bonds. After this, this resolution is approved, the financing working group would develop a timeline for issuance of the bonds in coordination with the township and with the library staff. And we would prepare offering documents for the market, hold a public sale, prepare the closing documents, and close the bond issue. We do not currently have a schedule for that yet, but that will be driven by the process with the library and getting bids developed and evaluated. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Once those are answered, I'd like to request a roll call vote on the resolution, please.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, because I know you said, and you stated that a lot of this isn't filled in just because we haven't sold the bonds yet. So once that's done, you'll take care of filling this in, and then we'll go ahead and get a copy, because I think Patty will process all that and have all that done for us.
That's correct. There's a provision in this resolution that approves the form of the bond that will be used to that will be exchanged for the money.
Okay.
So it's really just approving the substantial form of the bond.
Okay.
Once we have the bond sale, we get those sale results. We fill in the blanks and we provide a separate bond form
Patty,
with
you
the
hold all
information.
those,
in
right?
it.
Yeah, I do.
So she holds all those. That's why you normally don't see them. So. Okay.
Eric always prepares a really nice binder with everything, all the information, so when I have to go back and refer to it, I really appreciate it. It's really amazing, so appreciate that, Eric.
Okay?
And you mentioned there wasn't a schedule yet set up. Do we have any ballpark of like, are we talking another month or 2 or 3 or
Well, we're
to actually
waiting.
do the?
I just talked to Holly today. We're waiting. We can't roll this on the taxes until the bonds are sold. So we're just waiting for them to go out to bid, and then the process of the bonding will start.
So the construction documents will have to go out for bid,
Correct.
then that amount then gets rolled into the bond. And this will show up probably then on the winter 25
If it doesn't make it for,
Taxes.
yep.
or summer,
No,
or it depends,
it's not our tax bill, it's the schools.
right?
So
So winter
it'll
25.
be winter.
Okay.
So bids come back, so you have the GMP that goes into a resolution, okay.
Well, the GMP wouldn't go into the resolution, but
But
we
it would actually be necessary in order for you to,
properly size the
Sign off,
bonds.
yeah.
Yeah. Under the federal tax, these would be tax exempt bonds when we issue them, and under the federal tax code, you can't issue bonds earlier than you need to, more than you need to, or leave them outstanding longer than is necessary. So in order to kill all of those birds with one stone, you develop the project, go out for bids, evaluate the bids, and then you know what your construction fund will need to have, and then you can properly size it with the principal amount and the costs of issuance and all the various costs that go into issuing the bonds.
we pass a resolution at the beginning of this that allows the library to pay themselves back with this bond for
We did
all
that.
the cost of fronting the design, right? That's
That-
already part of this too. Okay, good.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Both the library
Both,
and
and
the
us.
township did.
Right,
Oh.
right.
Yep.
Does everybody understand? Any questions?
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-26, authorizing issuance of unlimited tax general obligation bonds, series 2024 for the new Lyon Township Public Library facilities.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Enlow, a support by O'Neill. And April, could you please call this by roll?
Yes. Lisa Blades.
Yes.
Michelle Cash.
Yes.
Christopher Enlow.
Yes.
John Dolan.
Yes.
Robert Swain.
Yes.
Patricia Carconi.
Yes.
Sean O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric.
Good evening.
Appreciate it. Okay,
We'll be in
Perfect.
touch.
all right, now we're gonna move on to item B that we had added to the agenda, and that is in the art in the park situation that's been going on. And the reason we wanted to add this to the park, I wanted to start this conversation out first of all I understand a lot of the trustees were worried about being in the decision-making of taking the statue down and laying it down on the hill. And I want to reassure everyone in this audience, our 4 trustees had nothing to do with it. These decisions that we make because of public safety and situations because of ever-shifting property up on the east side of our landfill is the reason that this happened. We have been dealing with the hill on the east side for many, many, many years. This hill has a landfill underneath it that was the first part of the landfill, I believe, Patty. It was the very first part of the landfill, and it is very unstable. It has always been very unstable. Back in the day, and it was the late 90s, and I'm just giving some information about how this all happened. So in the late 90s, the township had a vision after BFI had deeded us the property up on, I think it was a deed, it was a lease, I believe, a 99-year lease.
Service.
And so the township, and they also come across with a grant too. There was a grant involved with it so that we could start putting some nice things up there, because if anybody goes up to the high side of the east side of our landfill park, it's beautiful. You can see all over. You can get up on the property and see all over. So we took that as a situation where we said, well, you know, not me, this is before my time here on the board. But we took that situation and we said, wait, wouldn't this be the most beautiful place to put a concession stand, to put baseball fields, to put all this beautiful thing, tennis courts, there was a lot in it. Everybody agreed. I think BFI fronted alone or they donated the?
Yeah, BFI, actually, because I was here, BFI actually wanted to raise the landfill by 10 feet. And with that, they offered the township, because if you know now, if you're over in Salem, they get tipping fees. So we also got tipping fees, but kind of late in the game. Like John said, the first part of the landfill on the east side was the old Lehman garbage facility. And it didn't come with a liner. We actually had some contamination over the years that caused us some problems. But BFI offered us either $2 million in cash or $4 million in kind, which means we could actually produce the park. And I actually have a picture of it, because I think for who's ever here, you might have not been here, when we actually had a beautiful facility on this park. And the only reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I personally spent a lot of time on this park. And I gave up a lot of my time with, I had younger children, because I so believed in the park. My kids played a lot of sports, and that was just a passion that I have for myself, which I still do. But this is the east side of the park. We didn't even have the driveway. I don't know how else to put it, but it's so important for you to see this. So if you look back, here's the township hall. We didn't even have the driveway that we have now that's over here on the west. So this was the first part. We built 3 large ball diamonds, a concession stand that we got a grant from the state of Michigan, 2 tennis courts, 2 lower Little League fields, parking lots, and this was such an accomplishment. I mean, none of the money came out of our pocket, but this cost $4 million. And the concession stand, BFI hired an engineering firm out of Ohio, and this concession stand was put on a floating foundation, which relatively in the, between like around what, 2010, 29, this whole landfill started to adjust. And unfortunately, if you go up there today, this is all gone. It's gone. I mean, I get a little teary-eyed about it, because we put a lot of time. I've actually spoke about this park, because this was considered a public-private venture with the township and BFI. And so this faulted, the backs of these deteriorated, the tennis courts split up, and all of this collapsed. And so we've had to remove all of it. The only thing left up there was the statue, the art sculpture, and we just have some fencing over here. We just took the bleachers out of there and put them over to our new ball diamonds that we had to create. So all this side has just, it's gone. And the good part is, the west part has been very good to us, but they do have, it's got a liner to it. It's compacted differently than this first part. And we are been very successful in this. We also, it took out our playground up here. That's why we had to move the playground structures down here on virgin ground, because we also had 3 playground structures up there that we got grants for. And those were pretty exciting. One was a castle, one was a fort, and one was just a lot of, you know, good, just playground fun things, things you spin. It was really good for the kids. But unfortunately, as the ground settled, we had to remove that also, because we can't allow the safety of the children or anybody out there. And so that was another kind of, well, it was a disappointment. So I think when John continues to explain why we took down the structure, you'll understand that this is really not safe. And we've been discussing it for a long time. And actually in 2014, we actually took the art in the park that we were hoping to have, which never really came through, we actually took it out of our master plan because we knew on this side we could never do anything there. It's just not safe ground. And so that's, I wanted to explain that because I really know more than the rest of the board on that because I worked on it, so.
So basically, to continue on, we have no decision in this township, and I'll be very honest with you, no decision in this township is made in a vacuum. We have several administrative meetings, we have several department heads, we have several, all of our elected officials, day-to-day, full-time elected officials, are in meetings always. When there's a situation or a problem, we come to the table. When it's a public safety problem, we make a decision. And that's what happened here. The ground around the statue has been completely deteriorated. It is no longer safe for anyone to walk back there. Our maintenance crews have been talking to us constantly saying that the craters that are opening up there and the sinkholes that are opening up there are very dangerous, extremely dangerous. And it got to the point where our guys are trying to manicure the property and cut the grass, and they had to even go to a different style lawnmower, which is a double-tired Ventrac lawnmower, to try to keep safe when they mow the grass. We've had several people up there that are graffitiing the statue, and then our guys had to go up there and we have to whitewash the statue every time that we get that done. The bottom line is, everything on the east side of our park is gonna have to go. There's nothing that's gonna be left there. And then this board is gonna have to make a decision whether to completely close the east side off. We have been fighting the pavement on the east side. We have just went up there, we poured a tractor trailer load on the lower part of the blacktop just 3 months ago to fill these holes that are going away in our parking lot. We have people that come up in the parking lot, and if they have a small car, it will literally come into the hole and dead end, right into the hole. This whole east side of our park is falling apart. And we had to make the decision as a team to take it down for the safety of our residents, and that is our obligation. We are called out on things as easy as a sidewalk that heaves. When a sidewalk heaves, it heaves up a couple of inches, and we find out about it. We have a crew that goes on and they inspect our sidewalks all around the township. They do the best job they can. You have to also understand, we have a maintenance crew that we just started. We just got a DPW, we're very proud of it. We just started, it's 3 guys. And the 3 guys stay so busy, it's hard to keep control of a sinking and deteriorating part of our township. So it's literally going to get to a point where we're going to have to make a decision to close that easterly side of our township off. And there's no repair to it. We can't keep up with it. And it's very unusual. Sometimes it'll stay for a month, sometimes it sinks overnight. It's just a very unstable place. And we had to make the determination. We have to take out the last 2 ball diamonds on the lower part of the paved area. We have to take them out now, and we're going to do that in the fall. And that's the last thing we have to worry about until we close this side off. Now, the good news is, in my opinion, the good news is, does this bring art in the park actually to art in the park? Can we maybe finally get some people that want to volunteer some time, maybe sign up some sheets, or maybe find some stable property in some of our parks here and actually have a beautiful art in the park where you don't just see something up on a hill that you can't get to, but you can actually walk up to it. You can scan a QR code. I mean, we're in a new era here where you can scan a QR code and you can learn about the artist and you can learn about things like that. I mean, that's my vision of art in the park. And we had to make a decision, and we made it. And it was our team here, and we made that decision. So that's just kind of and I mean, Leslie, you can add to the situation if you like.
Thank you.
Because Leslie's also part of our administrative teams. We have many people, department heads, building department, and the maintenance department.
Yeah. So my name is Leslie Zawada. I'm the township engineer, and we meet monthly at an administrative meeting where we talk about different issues around the township, specifically safety. And one of the biggest concerns with this situation is that it creates a trip hazard, which is a danger to the public and the staff. And that is actually our job to prevent those situations. And by having art in that area, it invites the public to that area. So I support the decision. It's discussed regularly, not only this, but other areas of the township. And in my opinion, it really should not have been there in the first place. And so those are my thoughts on the issue.
Well, I'd like to open it up for conversation, because please, I mean,
I think you said it all, John. I'll just say that your idea of moving it and creating an opportunity somewhere else that's safe and accessible in the park and that can be, gotten to, is a good idea, and I would support something like that.
Can I just speak one more time about that?
Everyone can speak.
So, again, we don't own the landfill, but we do have a 99-year lease to use the top of the ground. And anything that we put up there, any kind of structure, anything, we actually have to get it approved through. So BFI sold it to
Republic.
it's not Waste Management now.
Not now.
It's Republic.
Yeah, Republic, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It got sold to Republic. And I think what people don't understand is that there is a cap over the entire landfill. So the cap is covered by dirt, grass, foliage, and in some parts of the park, there's only 3 inches. And we cannot penetrate that. That is a big no-no, because then you have, they're burning off the methane gas. I don't know how it's to explain it, but you can't, they won't let us penetrate it. So we can't they made us get rid of the barbecues too. I don't know if you guys realize we used to have barbecues up there. We had to get rid of those. And, but any kind of structure, and that had a footing in it. I have a feeling we did probably get permission for that anyways. But we can't even just do that. It's just not acceptable, and we have to get permission ourselves because we can't break that cap. So it's just another thing that people might not understand, that we're limited to what we can do up there, even on the good side. The bad side's bad, but even on the good side, we can't just sink things in there, so I just wanted to mention that.
So we actually wanted to talk about this tonight because we wanted to let the public know that we as an administrative staff of Lyon Township do things for our residents and our non-residents also. And we just have to keep the people safe, and that's our job. And that being said, I mean, you can come on up and anyone can come on. I don't know if anyone else want to say anything before?
Let people.
Well, I'm asking first, and then we'll let.
Good afternoon. Once again, Lisa Purvis, 58545 Pontiac Trail.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate the new excuse that you guys have come up with for this that was somehow missing in the letter to Mr. Sobe and also in your previous comments on this topic. So I'm here to address, obviously, the removal of Man in the City, the artwork that stood on the hill behind us for the past 13 years. I have a petition here, and you guys can each have a copy with 190 signatures, of which over 95% of them have indicated they are registered voters in favor of restoring the artwork. So I'm going to read the petition language and then read through some of the comments. Excuse me. First starts out with a quote from Americans for the Arts. Public art is a distinguishing part of our public history and our evolving culture. It reflects and reveals our society, adds meaning to our cities, and uniqueness to our communities. Public art humanizes the built environment and invigorates public spaces. It provides an intersection between past, present, and future, between disciplines, and between ideas. So on July 24th, Lyon Township leadership confirmed they had unilaterally removed the Man in the City statue from the park, where it stood as a public art piece for the last 13 years. Man in the City is intended to, per the artist, activate the skyline, encourage people to look around. In the process of looking and finding, one reassesses one's own position in the world and becomes aware of one's scale within the fabric of the city. The installation is a hallmark of Lyon Township, links us to other cities across Michigan and internationally. With over 100 installations in Detroit, Windsor, Benton Harbor, Ann Arbor, Brighton, New York City, and others. So we, the undersigned, demand that the township reinstall the statue and offer apologize to the artists for their unethical action. So these are some of the comments on the petition. First one's a quote from George Lucas. People who alter or destroy works of art and our cultural heritage for profit or as an exercise of power are barbarians. Next comment, bring the man back. It's a unique thing for the city. I've had people talk about it for years. It's a staple and needs to be put back. It wasn't hurting a thing. Then bring the art piece back. I love looking at it when we go west. It's like we're on the road to go up north when we pass it. I enjoyed seeing the orange man on my drive. It'll be a little less colorful now that he's gone. Please put him back. I would like for us to restore a relationship with the artists so we can have a whole art park, possibly on top of the hill. I would like to have it restored and maintained. It's a great ambassador for the township. Public art should be enjoyed by the public. Cutting something down without contacting the artist is ignorant. Everyone can use the internet to find out who the artist is. John Sobey is still alive. The art could have been moved instead of destroyed. I'm sure Canton, Northville, and Milford don't go around cutting down artwork. Without knowing who the artist is or how it's valued by the township residents, no one should have cut it down. The statue is always visible from the highway. It's the last thing we see before we leave home for a trip, and the first thing we see welcoming us back. It's unique and a bit of culture in a community of strip malls and cookie cutter homes. This is such a cool piece of art that distinguishes New Hudson. We are so sad to see it torn down. We should celebrate creativity. Man in the City has been a landmark for years, encouraging people to wonder, making an otherwise unremarkable hill next to a highway into something extraordinary. Do not waste this opportunity to rise above obscurity. And my kids always enjoyed looking for the orange man. Sad to see it go. My kids always love seeing this, and we've also used it as a landmark to let people know when to get off the expressway when coming to visit. My kids aren't afraid. You cut down their friend Paul. I guess they named it Paul. Reinstall. My kids love this, and we're devastated. Since my kids have been small, we've been waving at the man on the hill and saying, "Hi, man," every time we drive westbound 96. We've even stopped at the park to visit him up close. Reading the article about the township tearing him down made my teenager cry. Shame on whoever made that decision and bring back the man on the hill. I believe it's very wrong to remove a public piece of art without some conversation or vote. I do believe this is an abuse of your position. Many board members seem to forget they work for the citizens of the community. I wish new people would consider running. And New Hudson / Southline needs more culture, not less. The reasons given for the removal of this wonderful piece of art are obviously exaggerated and or untrue. Removing public art is not the building for the future Lyon Township needs. This is embarrassing to the township and the people who've enjoyed the man in the city on the hill for years. The reasoning behind the removal was illogical. You can tell they made up some nonsense to justify their actions in their head. Too bad no one else agrees. Bring back the art. I don't live in Lyon Township, but drive through it daily, and I've looked at the Orange Man for 13 years. The fact that township officials let the public and news stations believed it was removed by vandals for several days before admitting that the township officials, removed it is unconscionable. Lyon Township deserves officials who are honest and represent the community they serve, not those currently in office. I've lived in the township for over 12 years, and not once did I ever see anything negative painted on it nor hanging from it. The township supervisor is known to do whatever he wants to whoever. That piece of art needs to be put back where it belongs and everyone can enjoy it, and I think it should be at his expense, not the township. I used to live in South Lyon and always looked for this art when I was near the freeway. Now that I live in Brighton, the art reminds me of home. South Lyon still feels like home. Taking down this art is such an act of ignorance. How strange to think you could get rid of it and no one would be upset. How could you be so removed from your constituency? It's disheartening that members of the board seem to do this on their own accord. It makes me worry about what other actions individual members are doing without going through the board. Removing this sculpture made me completely lose faith that this township has the public's best interest in heart and is not operating on personal agendas. Why would you remove something without asking your residents to vote on it or just ask for opinions? It's kind of presumptuous to do it on your own. You guys are mighty full of yourselves. Just two more. This is only the latest in a string of one-sided actions that the township supervisor has taken with only his own interest in mind and not those of the community. He uses threats of retaliation to get people to go along with him. And the last one is, I'm 11 and we're not afraid of a statue. Right. So I have copies of this, if I can hand them
Well,
over.
I just want to thank you for the comments,
Mhm.
but they are totally not true. I mean,
It's 100%.
there's nothing true about that. There's nothing that I do here as a township supervisor without a lot of people involved. I have nothing. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I am a supervisor that likes to be for our residents. I just am. And everybody can have their opinion.
Well, yeah, I have 190 opinions for you guys
Okay,
to review.
that's fine.
So
That's fine.
should I pass
Give
them
it to
out? Or?
April.
Okay.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Okay, anyone else like to come on up? And, you know, I just want to let you know that we do try to keep these in a 3-minute period, if possible.
I'll keep
But
it
we're
under
gonna-
3 minutes.
Hey, we're going to let you talk, believe me, that's
No,
why we
no,
put this up here.
I'm
We're gonna
familiar
let you
with the
talk.
3-minute rule, so no problems.
We are going to let you talk.
Yeah,
so.
I'm Todd Slisher, 52565 Horseshoe Lane,
How you doing?
South Lyon. Doing great. Thank you very much, John. So I am also here to speak about The Man in the City, the art piece by John Suave. And the board has laid out the reasons for the removal, which I appreciate you sharing those reasons. I am curious as to why the reasons weren't shared with the artists in the original letter of communication. If we've known for a long time that that ground was unstable and that the piece had to be removed, it seems to me that there was plenty of time to notify the artist, to allow him to find some other location to place the artwork at, or to remove it as his convenience. It was said that it's a safety issue. Seems to me that it could have been left in place unless it was in immediate danger of toppling, just by putting a low 6-foot fence around it. Since it's a 20-foot tall piece, I don't think this would have actually obscured the art piece. I would be in favor, and you've heard earlier about the petition, of preserving this artwork piece and finding a new home for it. If it cannot be re-erected on the current site because of the unstable conditions up there, and I do admit, I've been up there a number of times. There are potholes, there are cracks, there are other things happening up there. I'm not an engineer. I don't know the full extent of what the damage is up there or what's happening. But it seems to me that the real issue here is the sudden removal without longer deliberation or consideration as to contacting the artist, looking at alternate plans, looking at where perhaps it could have been repurposed or re-put if it did have to come down. So I would ask the board that they give some consideration to this. I've also heard, but it's in newspaper articles and internet, which are not always accurate, that a Wednesday deadline, meaning today, was given to the artist to remove the statue or it would be cut up. I don't know if that is accurate or not, but if that was indeed the case, I would ask that the board rescind that deadline and give the artist more time to take the art piece and then repurpose it. And I would I encourage the board to pass a motion to preserve the art piece, to not scrap it, to not cut it up. And if it cannot be reinstalled at the current location, to propose a new location, allowing public comment on that location to get some feedback, and then go ahead and re-erect the statue. So that's my piece.
Okay,
Thank you
well,
very
thank
much.
you. Thank you very much. Take it, go ahead and answer.
I just can't take it. First of all, we removed, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
My name's Lyle Murphy, 29785 Pine Tree Drive.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about how this all went about, just like the lack of transparency. I recognize the reasonings behind, the safety issues and stuff, but I just don't know why there wasn't any public discussion about maybe relocating it closer to the township offices within the security cameras if you're having graffiti issues. You talk about the potholes and the sinkholes, that's like a liability for the township. If I go out there and twist my ankle, the township is liable for that. So I don't understand the priorities of, a slowly sinking sign being more dangerous than the potholes up there. If we're having so many erosion issues, I don't understand why there hasn't been any talk about dealing with that, because essentially you're gonna have to fence off the park at a certain point and not allow access up there if it's such a safety issue. So I think there should be more discussion about trying to preserve the artwork. I'd also like more public understanding of how many people were complaining about it being creepy. Maybe that's just an education thing, or are they actually residents or people just seeing it from the highway? I think there's a lot of things that weren't actually answered that I'd like to have more
I can
facts
answer the
about.
creepy one.
Okay.
Because in 2014, when we redid the master plan, it's actually right in the minutes
Okay.
that I said, that we've gotten a lot of complaints. And one was, well, this is one, but we got several, not just that. And it's in the minutes, so you can look back in 2014. I recommended it to come down then because we had so many complaints about people didn't know what it was, they didn't understand what it was, they didn't understand what it had to do with the township, that it was frightening kids, that people said it was a Freddy Cougar. They called us to ask us, what did it mean? And we didn't have an answer. I mean, it's, John Bell, God bless his heart, worked with us on our DDA. And he is an amazing man, and he gave a ton of hours of his own time to this township. And this was a thing that he brought to our township in 2011. And Mr. Sauvé, and John has the letter, this is also, you can find public record, he promised us to be the art director, correct, John? You have the letter from Mr. Sauvé, to bring art in our park, 100%. We never got it. We got one statue and never saw him again. I've been here a long time, and I have never seen Mr. Sauvé come here, but what we deal with is graffiti, and I can say not such nice things have been painted on there, as in our bathrooms, so that means kids are up there. So why we took it down on the day we took it down is exactly 4th of July, because we knew we can't stop people from going up on that hill in our park. Doesn't matter, then we clean up the next day. People go up there with their kids, we get dirty diapers. We don't want people going over where the statue is. It's not next to the parking lot, it's off down. And that's what we see people that post selfies, and we can't have that. And on top of that, again, all of a sudden lights appeared on it. We live next to airport. We could not have lights on our baseball fields. We could not have that. And lights appeared.
I don't know about that or who's responsible.
I'm just
I
giving
agree.
you some information.
Right.
So we can't have that because it's a huge liability for us.
Oh,
And
no,
that's
I
what
get
we
it.
did.
It doesn't quite
And-
make sense.
and
Sorry to
I-
interrupt. It's
No,
just,
that's okay.
you talk about it being a liability. Well, it was just chopped down. It's laying there. Anybody could go up. A kid could cut himself on the metal right now. It doesn't, I don't understand why there wasn't discussion to try to preserve it, relocate it, do more of an effort to, save it, because it is a unique piece of artwork. And it was donated to the, that's material costs, the time of the artist. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it being relocated or something, it's just the way this all went about just doesn't pass the sniff
Well,
test.
why would we wanna just take it down for a reason? I mean, we're not,
I know, but it's just
I can't imagine what,
it's just the public information.
We
It's also
love
people
the
not
township.
knowing
That's
what it
why
is.
we're
Like,
here.
I used to think it was Atchison, the man who actually, was, I don't know too much about him, but I know it was his idea to turn the dump into a park, which I think was a noble cause.
well,
So I think it's just education and, people understanding.
we named that park after Jim, because he was our supervisor for 20 years.
Okay, that's why,
He was a
okay.
good man, he was very good.
And I don't think any of you guys are bad guys. This isn't anything like that. It's just the way it went about. It was just like,
But
come on, we could have done a little better here,
I have, when you're done, I have one more
Okay.
thing that I have to say.
I'm done. I don't have much else.
Well, thank you.
I just, again, the timeline, we took it down on Wednesday. 4th of July was the next day. On Monday morning at 8 a.m., John Sauvé was at our door. We have him on camera. He came in, he never identified himself. He came in and he talked to Jessica, mentioning that, hey, he thought there were some vandals, that the statue got taken down, okay? Melanie, who's in our DPW, came over, we have it on tape, came over and told him that our DPW had taken it down. We said that on July 8th at our township hall. If he needed any more information, he could call John or Derek, our DPW person. We never heard from him until we saw it on the news on Charlie Langton's Sunday morning.
So leading up to taking it down, why was he not appropriately contacted or efforts made to?
We thought it was our statue, so we didn't think we had to take it.
Okay, so just it's
I
a
mean,
big misunderstanding from what it sounded
It is,
like.
and you know what? There's no animosity. That's what we can't understand. We love our community. We love it. I wouldn't be here 33 years. These people wouldn't just run for re-election. We love our community. We don't want to destroy anything. I just happen to have a lot of history because I've been here so long. But, and to John's, this is another thing. So Charlie Langton came into our office and he wanted to interview John. And he came in, they came and got me. John had just gone home to let his dogs out, which he does every day. And I called him on the phone. I said, Mr. Langton is here. He would like to, he goes, absolutely. Can you just tell him, give me 5 minutes to get back, right? Not hiding, not anything. Absolutely. He came back, shook his hand, gave a great interview telling exactly what I just told you. And guess what? 2 minutes, didn't say one thing about why we took it down, nothing. True or not, John?
That's true.
We thought, oh, this will be good, we'll get it out to the public, they'll understand, or we have a reasoning. Did not. 2 minutes he had, all looked bad on us.
I mean,
I'm just telling you.
oh no, I get it. And I'm not,
this
I guess there's
person
gotcha
said it was
journalism.
vandalism
It's just
on
how
his show.
how is what I'm worried about. It's not all the other circus stuff.
That's what our thinking was, maybe you guys think it was wrong. We did it because we thought it was the right thing to do. That's it. I mean, there's no malice, there's no, I don't know, why wouldn't we love art in the park? We thought we were getting art in the park in 2011. I just have to say that because it's just so not fair. It's not fair to John. If you wanna be mad, you gotta be mad at the three of us. We talk about it all the time in admin.
I'm not mad at you guys. I just think we could have done better. That's what I'm
Well,
trying.
you know
Like,
what?
there's a lesson we can learn.
We do
I know,
the
and
best
I
we can.
appreciate
We're
that. Like I said,
human beings, too.
I don't think you're bad guys. It's just there's better options we could have figured out, and I hope we can
And there
figure
could
something else out. You
But
know.
that's true, and we're human beings too. I mean, that's, I'm sad because the art in the park that we thought we were getting is now in Brighton. That's the art in the park that Mr. Sauvé promised us, and I'm not saying anything bad about him, but that's what we thought we were getting, and we have all the documentation. You can look back at 2014. You can look back at the discussion with the township board when we revised our master plan. It's actually, we wanted to take it down 14 years ago, if you really want to be truthful. It wasn't that we don't like it, it's not in the place it should be, and it should have never gotten to that spot. Maybe a different place in our park, maybe on solid ground, where it's not shifting.
Right.
But
like, why now? You know what? You know, it just.
because, is there ever a good time to take anything down? We really, if you see what's up there and to see how we are constantly taking things out. We just moved the bleachers, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We dug them out of tons of weeds.
Is there any plan to shore that up so we can make it nice again?
There's no way to do it.
How you gonna
There's just no way to do it.
It's
We're gonna lose in
insane.
Eastern
Can't get
Park.
like free fill dirt from all the developments in the
We've been
neighborhood. Yeah.
Well, there's
That's
also,
Millings.
but there's also a screening situation. They won't let us just dump any dirt up there. They have to
Right.
approve
That's
it.
true. Non-contaminated. Yeah.
They have to approve everything, and it becomes a big maintenance problem. And we are gonna end up eventually, we won't have that side of our park. We just won't. We won't have that, we won't have any say-so in that. It's gonna take it away from us naturally.
We have sledding too, but
I coached Little League baseball and softball, 3 of my kids for years, and we used to use those fields. And being involved with the junior league, before I became a board member, there would always be discussion about kind of chasing the maintenance up there. And it wasn't just the parking lot, it was the field settling, the posts were heaving out of the ground and becoming unsafe. And almost every year there was some sort of improvement project, and it was like chasing your tail. And it was, I think, to a point where both groups were like, listen, we're gonna spend millions of dollars and the ground is gonna keep settling in an unpredictable way, and it's just a waste of money. It was still gonna be dangerous and just completely unpredictable, which is what led to us working together with the Junior League to build very nice fields over here. So I think this is sort of an evolution, and we didn't know maybe at the beginning of all this where the years would take us with all the settling and the maintenance issues, but as the picture becomes more clear over the last several years, I think, to me, it makes sense to move ahead in a collaborative way to figure out what else we can do with some of these things, some of these improvements that everybody enjoys, in a way that's safe and accessible. And it may not be the way that everyone's used to enjoying it, but that's okay. We've got really good reasons, and the most important thing we have to decide on at this table is public health, safety, welfare type issues. So it's really hard to argue with that. And everyone has an opinion, everyone has feelings, but our number one priority, our chief priority here is to look out for the health, safety, and welfare of not just our residents, but anyone who comes onto our parks, onto our property. So I think along those lines, it makes a good deal of sense to do, I think, what John had mentioned, which is to work, again, in a collaborative way with whoever may want to participate to find another location on this property where something like this could go back up. And someone said something about, and I think it was a comment being read by Ms. Purvis, I don't think it was her comment, someone said, this has been destroyed. It hasn't been destroyed, it's just been laid down up there, and we have no plan on destroying it. It would be great to move it. It would be great to work with the artist and whoever else may want to participate to relocate it to a stable area and an accessible area of the township so people can enjoy it. I mean, it just seems to make sense to me today, and it seems to be a good kind of long-term solution for this that allows more than just one piece of art, possibly dozens of pieces of art from various artists to be displayed here and make it, more of a focal feature on the property.
And it was the vision.
Well,
It was the vision
yeah.
when it was proposed.
And
It was the
Debbie
vision.
spoke to,
Yes, hi, I'm Deborah Walling, one of the township attorneys, and I have been in communication with Mr. Suave's attorney as recently as yesterday, inviting his input as to potential new locations that might be appropriate for the board's consideration.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Does anyone else like to come on up? Talk about it? Anyone else on the board want to make any, this is going to be something that we're going to have to figure out. We are going to have to figure that out, and I think we need to have a discussion coming up and start talking about it and see what we can do, see how we can make it work. But I can guarantee you that no one is going to destroy that piece. They're not going to destroy it. I can say that. They are not
said
going
that
to.
to Charlie Langdon.
They are not going to. I did say that to him. He asked me point blank, are you going to cut that statue up? I said, absolutely not. It will not be cut up. Will not. So, anybody want to add anything? Anybody?
Just briefly, I think collectively, after listening to everything and hearing all the background and all that stuff, it sounds like we're all kind of focused on the same thing as, let's find a spot for art in the park, whether it is here on the stable ground in Atchison Park, or, maybe there's a spot where the library would be built to something, and that's a little bit more interactive where,
Cool.
as you said, John, you can get up close to the artwork and learn more about it and the artist. So yeah, I'd absolutely be willing to help work with that and
It's great.
try and figure something out.
It's great. Appreciate it.
Well,
See, you know what, and I want to add something. So I've had many conversations with many of our residents, many. And I had a conversation with one lady, and she said to me, I said something about possibly having a presentation by the artist to figure out what to do next. And she said to me, really, is that up to the artist? Why wouldn't the township take the lead on that? And that was 100%. I agreed with that 100%. I think the township has the, really, we're the ones designating the property. We're the ones that should have been running that narrative on where to put these things. We shouldn't have left that back in the day up to someone else to say, oh, this looks like a great place, put it here on the most unstable place in our township. And I think that would be helpful. If we, as a township board, worked with maybe a committee, you know, of enthusiasts of art, and we might look at the property at the library. We might look at the property on the west side. We have some nice clearings over here. Could be a great place. And I'm all about that. I think that's a great thing.
We have property in Mill River too.
Oh, we
Right.
do.
For the property in Mill River
Yeah, we do,
also.
right? Didn't even think about that piece, but.
Well, I don't have as much experience in history as Patty does, but, you know, I was on the park committee for several years, and that was the challenge, you know, the sledding had to get, or we had to stop doing sledding, and the Panther Football League couldn't practice up there anymore. And so there, you know, there are some challenges, and I think that, you know, to collaborate with the residents, clearly we have a petition that residents have a strong opinion about it, and to collaborate with those residents and the artists to find a location that would be appropriate for, you know, some of these issues that have been brought up. And I would welcome people who would like to be a part of that to come in and maybe we can find some collaborative effort to bring that to our community. And I know a lot has been said tonight, so I don't want to add too much more to that, but I do think that it's a really important way to move forward.
No, I just want to say one other thing, and it kind of bothers me when they say that the supervisor's out for himself and he's the only one that everything's about him and he's in the. I've been in the supervisor's position for 8 years. I have 3 months left on this term, and I've never heard that ever. All we try to do here is we try to work together as a team to do the best things we can do. When I got to the township, the water was brown coming to our residents. We worked as this team right here to make sure that our residents got good, clean water. I mean, everything that we try to do, we work as a group. And I believe that this board right here has done a fantastic job in the 8 years we've been working together. And that's all, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to defend myself. It's just when there's things thrown out there like was thrown out there, it's just not true. It's just not true. If we do things, maybe we don't do it, and maybe it come up the wrong way. And I'm not disagreeing with that. Maybe it could have been done a different way. But when we made the decision to do that, it was because there was things that were happening that were the reason for it. The ground was moving. It was moving more now than it ever has been. And again, we're going to get to the point where we're going to close that down. It's going to be closed down, and we won't have a choice. And there'll be nothing left on that side. It will all be moved to elsewhere, just as everything else. And I just want to say that, you know, we can't allow things to go up there anymore. We just can't do it. We have to remove them. It's too dangerous. The ground's moving.
So I also have a bit of a history with the park stuff, both originally back when, along with Lisa, when I was in high school, at the time we had a youth representation on that body. And then I had a time away for college, which happens to overlap with the creation of the statue, so I don't have firsthand experience of when it was placed, but I did come back and then was on that body again from 2016 until 2022 when we removed it. And I just would like to say briefly on that this is an example of something that I think would have been a perfect thing if had that body still existed, to have it go there, get some feedback, see what happens. I mean, I understand obviously this wasn't just, you know, John Dolan sitting there by himself saying, go cut the thing down. Yes, it was the administrative committee, it's still a group, but I would hope moving forward that something like this that is particularly a visible thing, if it's not an imminent issue, that we could have brought it for some discussion, or at least I would like to think that you would have told us in a report, had it not come out in a news article as an update, hey, we did this.
Define imminent when.
Well, I mean, when
somebody gets hurt?
Like in June, it was safe, and then July 3rd, you had to cut it down that day. That's what I mean. Like if it would have been something where, you know, another month,
to discuss, hey, we think we should remove this thing. Do we have a plan for, do we want to keep it? Where should we move it to? Instead of just, we cut it down and then people notice and then it starts raising questions. It's just,
Well, again, it was an ongoing discussion for many months. It wasn't, and unfortunately, you look at it as 1 month. This has been going on in our team for months.
I guess that's to my point though, like if it had been going on, why not bring that out in the open?
We can talk about it in our admin, Robert.
Right, but I don't know what goes on in the admin meetings. The public doesn't know what goes on in the admin meetings. I know there's.
Because that's the day-to-day operations, that's our responsibility. Your responsibility is legislative, and if we would have thought this would ever happen like this, do you think that that would ever happen again?
Well, no, I don't think that you had
That-
anticipated
Because
this,
we
but
didn't, because we didn't do it with malice. That's the problem.
I'm not claiming
did
that you
not do
did
that
do it
with
with malice. I'm just saying
Absolutely
something
not.
like this is an example of a kind of
Absolutely not,
thing
and especially
that I would
when-
like to have input on.
Especially we told the truth on July 8th when Mr.
Right.
When he came in.
Not disputing that.
We told him, number one, he went on the show and said it was vandalism. We never said that. We told him right then, on that day, we took it down.
Right.
And John told that to Charlie Langton. He said, we took it down for safety reasons.
Right.
We said it right away. We can't do what people don't, we can't tell Charlie Langton what to put on his news
I
station.
believe you. I'm just saying when we have a change to something like a very public-facing amenity, that's an example of a kind of thing that I would like to see not just stay in admin. I'm just trying to be productive, moving forward, learning from this. How can we avoid
got
a
it,
similar
Robert.
thing?
We got
All right. And then I guess just briefly, another hopefully positive thing that can come out of this is that one of the reasons that was given for removing the body that would have perhaps handled this in 2022 was a lack of input and public engagement in that process. Running those meetings, I can count on one hand the number of times that someone would show up during a year to actually give us any input. And while I still didn't agree with the decision at the time, I understand that was a valid criticism, and hopefully this will, if nothing else, reinvigorate people's interest in becoming involved in the process and sharing their feedback, provide ideas, and get involved, and hopefully we can find a new home for this and or other pieces going forward.
I also sat on that board, and unfortunately, we had no one coming in. We still have trouble getting people to volunteer for anything that we have. We have commissions, we have committees, we have elections. People don't show up. So I'm glad there's passion for this, and I hope they put their money where their mouth is and come out and volunteer, do something. It's great to sit behind your computer and criticize, but come out. Go to all your communities. It doesn't have to be Lyon Township. Just come out and volunteer, help, ask. We'd love it. I mean, we have elections coming up in November. I need probably another 100 people to work. Please, come train, come work, come volunteer. It's a great thing. Get involved. We appreciate all our residents that do.
So seeing that we're at the end of this and we can wrap this up, I think there's nothing in here as far as decision-making, but I would like to, yeah, well, I'll get to you. Just let me, I would like, what's that?
Can I take a minute?
Please, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name's Tom Walsh. I've been out here for 60 years. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. You guys do a great job. I'm not here to pick on you. I don't want to hear about, you need to know. I don't expect you to get up in the morning and give me a daily news feed of what you're doing, what you've done. If I want to know, I'll show up here. That's what meetings are for, okay? People need to get involved. And if they were a little bit more involved, we wouldn't have this problem. You guys are doing a great job. I think it's a shame that you're getting bashed like this. This community's one of the top growing communities in the nation. You guys ought to be proud of the job that you've done. I'm sorry you're getting flack. I understand that probably didn't go down right, you know, but it is what it is, and you just have to move forward from it and Maybe we'll have an art in the park. Maybe it just won't be one guy's piece of art up on the hill where he's getting all the recognition. It'll be in a safer location where people can see it. I mean, 100 yards up that hill is not where people from here can see it, you know, and I think that's what it's about. This is the community. That's the passerbys. We need people here and, you know, taking the time and helping her on her committees. So, like I say, I didn't come here to bash you. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work, and I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So, again, I think that we're at a place where we can probably start talking about if that's what this board wants to do. Do we want to continue and move it to the art in the park and see if we can get this piece and possibly talk to him and find out what his plans are with this?
He's talking to him.
Okay, so you're already talking to him, and
I've
that's a good
invited
thing.
his input, you know, as soon as
Okay.
possible.
So if we've wrapped that up and no one else would like to speak, I would like to move to the next agenda item. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to the Special Assessment Resolution 2024-24, confirming general purpose role 24-120 and 24-130.
I'll move the adoption of resolution 2024-24.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move on to the resolution approving the reprogramming of the funds for Community Development Block Grant Program.
I'll make a motion to support the resolution, number 2024-25, supporting the new, reprogramming for the funds for the Community Development Block Grant Program.
I'll support. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we're gonna move on to the consideration of utilities ordinance variance request from Lyon Township Public Library.
All right. I'd like to reference our July 24th letter that's in your packet requesting variances to your utility ordinance. Since this is a general codified ordinance, you are the variance board. There are a couple of sections of the ordinance that we are requesting the variance. One is section 46-157 that requires facilities to be extended across the entire frontage to be served. And the reason for that in your ordinance is so that your water and sewer extends from property to property, and that's how it has naturally extended. So the reason for these, the variance request is the water main will be extended along 11 Mile as part of the Summerlin Development Project when they pave the road. The section of water main that's not currently proposed in front of your parcel is not necessary for the project. As you see in the map that's enclosed, there's a section that will continue it to the north. And it is something the township could proceed with at some time in the future should you desire. And similarly, the sanitary sewer, you have an existing force main on the south side of your property. And during the design of the project, when we were evaluating whether to go to the west with gravity sewer through Elk Run or connect to the force main, it was decided from a maintenance perspective that it made more sense to try to extend the gravity sewer. It's much more forgiving from maintenance perspective, and it avoids another pump station that you would have to maintain. So those are the reasons for the request of the variance to that section. And then in addition, we're requesting the variance regarding the connecting to sanitary sewer in the front yard. In this case, on the plan for the library and park, the first phase would be the library, is there's a very large compensating cut area right in front of the building. And we really would like to avoid going under that area in case there's ever a flooding event and we happen to have a break at the same time. So for those reasons, I'm requesting the variance on behalf of the, I guess the project in this case would be the library board since it's going first. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Leslie over this?
Makes sense.
No, I agree with the assessment. This sounded very familiar. There was another project where it was similar to this, where we didn't need to extend beyond, so.
I move the approval of the request for variances in section 46-157 and section 46-85 of the utility ordinance. And I will reference the letter of 7/24/24 from CES.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move on to the consideration to approve resolution 2024-27, Oakland County Emergency Operations Support Plan, and to authorize the supervisor and the clerk to execute the agreement. I don't know if you have it, I mean, this is pretty much, we do this. I mean,
This is supposed to be done every 4 years. What this allows us to do is to request Oakland County for assistance during a disaster, natural disaster here in Lyon Township. And by having this on file, it allows us to be able to receive FEMA funds and federal government funds for disaster relief. Without this, we would not be eligible for those funds.
So this is important.
Yes, it is.
I had one question on it,
Yes,
though. Like, so I think as part of this, there's like a whole hierarchy of, you know, if this person's not here, the next person goes.
Yes.
One of the items is the, after you, I believe, was the assistant chief and was listed as some of them. That position's still vacant, if I'm not mistaken.
It is as of this moment, yes.
Okay.
Currently, right now, my number 2 in charge is kind of Fire Marshal Bruce Harbin. He's my second in charge for administration as of this point. But hopefully that will be filled here in the very near future.
Okay, that's, I just wanna make sure if
We're
that needs to
actually
be
bringing
changed.
you that at the next meeting,
Awesome.
just a FYI.
Great.
We wanted to make sure the millage passed. That's all
Yeah.
we were waiting for. Because.
Be
That would
important.
make sense.
When you say
Yes.
just an FYI, you mean the action is gonna be to the next meeting?
Yes, we're going to.
FYI is just the update for tonight?
Yes, just
Okay.
the FYI
Okay.
action at the
Okay.
next board meeting, but we
Sounds
wanted
good.
to make sure that it passed because we didn't wanna jump the gun, so. But we've,
Might as well
we've
say.
already had some,
Sure.
an interview and that's all I'm saying.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-27, Oakland County Emergency Operations Support Plan, and to authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consideration to approve resolution 2024-28, agreement for automatic mutual aid between City of Novi and Lyon Township, and to authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement. And this is just, had you stand there because in case
Yep.
there's anything, it's pretty normal.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this
Yes,
is just to
very.
help Lyon Township. Novi approached us. Both communities just went through their ISO review. They had some deficiencies noted in response times, just some geographical areas more along Grand River. So he approached us, asking us to help there. And of course, we've got the recent development in the southeast corner of our township, which is further away from some of our stations. So they're gonna help us cover that area, and we're gonna help the Grand River corridor for them under this agreement is what we're looking to do. And that this is strictly just for structure fires, confirmed structure fires within either jurisdiction that we would be doing. Technically, we already do that under the mutual aid agreement with Oakland County through MABUS, but unfortunately ISO does not recognize that, so we have to have something else on file to cover this mutual aid agreement.
So this is effectively formalizing what's already happening.
And it's already been formalized through MABUS. It's already an agreement on file. The only benefit to this is there's no delay right now. In a MABUS, we have to request it. This we won't be requesting. If it comes in as a structure fire, Novi is automatically dispatched to those very specific section numbers within our township.
Great.
Okay,
I'll move the adoption of resolution 2024-28.
Support.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this next one is to me, I think is really important to authorize a Sunday work on September 3rd for Lombardo Homes so we can get Kent Lake Road done and opened.
Before school.
Yeah.
Sounds
So-
good.
I'll make a motion to approve the Orchard Crossing request for approval of Sunday road work on Kent Lake Road. Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next agenda item is the consideration to purchase back 9.1 RUs of sewer capital charges.
Okay.
Go ahead, Patty,
Okay.
because she requested this.
Yes, so, I've talked to Pat, who she actually is an Irwin, and, we had placed, when we had to divide up the REUs, Leslie can tell you back then, it was so different than it is now, but, 10 REUs, or 9.1 REUs got placed on Pat's property over here at the orchards. And, anyways, she has an opportunity to sell her 10-acre parcel to Mr. Curtis, which I have explained in the letter. And we have bought back REUs before. We haven't bought them back in a long time, but, and then, I talked to Pat yesterday, and she would actually like to only sell back 8.1. She would like, if Mr. Curtis does buy her property, I think he would like to retain 1 REU for that parcel, which I think is a good deal. I mean, we can only, per the ordinance, we can only buy them back for the original fee. But Pat's paid a lot of money. She's paid interest for almost 14, 15 years on these 9.1 REUs. So, in my opinion, I've talked to Carol and Leslie about it. So now it would be 8.1, and I have the new dollar amount, which it would be is, instead of 51,870, we would be paying her back 46,170. But, they would go to the top of the list, and we would get the full purchase price of them, because we have already paid Line Wastewater their share when this SAD went through. So these were actually on an SAD.
So the next 8.1 that are sold, I'm sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you, will be these 8.1 REUs.
And that
if we
money
agree
will
to-
go directly
back into
into the sewer
Right.
enterprise fund, which we don't get any money of
Right.
that. But I think it's a really good opportunity. I had some conversation with Mr. Curtis, who I believe is in the audience, but I think he has a really good plan for what he would like to do with it, even though I'm not suggesting, because that could always be changed. But I don't see a problem with buying them back, and it's so few and frequent that we have this opportunity. I think we can help her, because that was a big burden on the backs of someone. So I'm just for it, so that's all I'm saying.
Seems like a good idea to leave a second REU on a 10-acre parcel in case
Right.
2 5-acres exist in the future and another
Right.
home wants to
guess-
be built.
Yeah, to clarify then, does this leave 1
It
REU
would just
for the
leave
10-acre parcel? Or,
That's all.
'cause
Well,
that's,
2,
that's,
one for the house plus 1 additional, right?
Well, this is vacant.
What I'm saying is if he wants to buy it and build a home, it says he wants to build a single-family home, he'll use one of the 2 remaining, right?
No, there's only
91
9.1.
Oh, okay, I thought the 9.1 included
No.
the
Yeah,
one that, okay,
Mr. Curtis
now I
lives
understand.
by that, but
Okay. Gotcha.
whatever. I don't think it should be.
Mr. Curtis may be able to tell us
I
what
know,
he's
but,
thinking,
but
yeah.
I can explain if you want to explain.
All right,
Dave
that's
Curtis.
probably easier than me guessing.
I live at 31200 Richard Irwin Drive, which is the adjoining property. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so I would like to purchase the property, but I'm not gonna develop the property. I have no use for sewer taps, right? And the cost, Pat needs to recoup some of this cost, or she has to pass it on to me to purchase the property. For me, that's a no deal. I can't purchase the property and also purchase the sewer taps, right? If I don't do that, it goes back up for sale. Lombardo is gonna buy it. They're gonna develop it, and it's gonna be cleared just like the property next to it's being cleared right now, right? What I wanna do is preserve it, right? I'd like to turn it into a hobby farm, right? I'd like to give my children something, right? It's gonna only go up in value, so when I pass something on to them, it's gonna go up in value. I have the means to do it, but I can't pay for the extra $50,000, $60,000 for the sewer tap. So I would like to keep one in case I build on it.
Right.
I have a house that I just built next to that property. I have no plan to build anything on it, right? But I would like to have that opportunity if it comes up by keeping one.
Well, I think this is a good thing.
Sounds
Well, I
good to
think
me.
I really
the other
do.
thing is,
Yeah.
whether you buy it or not, I think Pat wants to sell them back.
And
So-
we've never
I know.
we've never had anyone really ask us to.
I mean,
So,
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
no,
just,
no,
I mean, we have in the past.
In the past, but
But
not
this is
for-
very, very
not for a
infrequent.
very long
so if you guys buy them back, you're gonna buy them at the price she paid,
That's
right?
right.
But you're gonna sell them at what they're worth today.
That's right.
So what you're gonna do is make money on this.
Well, the
Not
sewer-
you, but
The
sewer
sewer enterprise will,
enterprise, yeah.
but
it's not gonna cost the township anything.
That's right.
that is correct. So anyways, I'm in
Thank you.
favor of it. Thank you.
Sounds good.
yeah,
Thanks for coming,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Curtis, I appreciate it. Pat lives kind of far, and she wasn't able to come tonight, but she said that Mr. Curtis would be here, so.
I
and
think it's a
have
great
no
deal.
problem playing,
I think it's a great deal.
explaining.
I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sounds
what
good.
exactly do we need?
I'll make a motion to repurchase 8.1 REUs from Patricia Zanstra on the parcel number 2106451008 at the dollar amount of $46,170, and the parcel will retain 1 REU.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good.
Okay, we're gonna
Send
move on
Pat
to
a
J.
text. She'll be happy.
Okay, consideration of the agreement for local physical recovery fund distribution between Oakland County and Lyon Township, Amendment 1, and to authorize the supervisor and the clerk to execute the agreement. Okay.
I understand that this is one of those scenarios where the county tells us this is what you're doing, but just so,
It read like
can
that,
we have
didn't it?
just a slight
Yeah.
background on what is this amending?
We weren't really
Like-
sure. We have already gotten our money also.
Okay,
But
that's what I was gonna say, I thought
They
we,
still wanted us to do this. We
Okay.
did collect our money, so we thought, oh, this is,
Do you
we
see
were
that
getting
name
more
right
money.
So everyone is doing this?
Everyone.
Every single municipality in the county is
They had
required
to
to do
send it out
this?
to everyone
Right.
because we received the money and
Okay.
had already collected ours. There were some municipalities that have not.
right,
And this is why we have to do it, because we were in this initial group that had received it. So we were told to
Okay.
put this on and to approve it and then send it back to them and everything will be good. But we have our money. They already gave it to us.
all right, so it's no additional obligation on us, and,
Nope.
sounds good.
Okay, anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to, approve the agreement for local fiscal recovery fund distribution between Oakland County and Lyon Township, Amendment 1, and to authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement.
Very rapid.
I'll support.
Very. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move on to K. Consideration of the agreement between Charter Township of Lyon and the Villas of Crystal Creek Condominium Association and the Crystal Creek Villas 2 Association, and approval of the acceptance of the sanitary sewer easement for Villas 1 and 2 and condo amendment to serve the Lyon Township Library.
Okay. Thank you very much. So as I mentioned earlier, when we were discussing the variance, the sanitary sewer was proposed to extend through Elk Run, but there was not an existing easement through that neighborhood. So we've been working with two associations that have a master association, because some of you are probably familiar, there's duplex condos in there, a single family. And the township attorney's office negotiated the agreement with the condominium for a cost of $16,000 to expand on that easement. We will be impacting one neighbor's driveway directly. They will be the most impacted. And of course, Milford Road will be shut down for part of that widening. So this is for your consideration to approve and authorize the signing of a sanitary sewer easement with each condo, as well as a condo amendment.
And again, the reason we added this tonight is we're trying to keep this thing rolling so we
Yes.
can get the library moving.
So we can go out for bid.
And this is super important in that process.
And I apologize, it was a very late addition at a very bad time for the clerk's department, so.
What's
We had
that?
just
Is he right?
posted the agenda and she's like,
It was
can you
posted,
change it? And we
and 5
said,
minutes
"No."
later I sent it, so. Anyway, it is before you tonight for your consideration.
Can I ask just real quick, can
Sure.
you give maybe a little background or just a little bit on why Milford Road has to be closed completely? Are
Yes.
you cutting underneath, is that why, or?
Must be an open-
No, it's actually, we have to
'Cause
widen the
everybody's gonna
road.
be really mad at us.
Oh, next year's
That's a
going to be
different one.
gridlock. I'm warning everybody now. There's a lot of shutdowns proposed. The main reason is it's not safe to widen it with the contractors there, because the road will be widened from basically the Novi line culvert north to the curve to add a center left turn lane for the
Okay.
entry into the library. And it's very tight construction, and we've discussed it with the road commission. We really don't feel contractors would be safe And we have to take that into consideration, just like tonight, we talked about a lot of safety issues. Road work and construction is my wheelhouse, and that is what we've, discussed with the road commission, and it will be shut down. And I apologize in advance, it'll be interesting getting around town next year.
They're growing pains.
We're gonna buy a bunch of helicopters and fly all of our residents to work, because they can't get there in their car anymore, so.
Yep, I just take back roads everywhere now, so.
Just to clarify one other thing, you said for $16,000, that's up to $16,000 of reimbursement for their costs, right? It's not really.
Yes, correct, thank you.
paying for the easement per se.
Yes.
Okay.
But isn't there a payment for the easement?
It's $1 to make it
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah.
in, so it's,
Yes, they
Okay,
did
but-
have some engineering and attorney costs, and they asked for reimbursement, and we felt that was fair.
I recall that.
Just like
So we're gonna pay for this, right, Leslie, out of sewer enterprise?
I would assume so.
Okay, is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
If there is, we can make a motion.
Make a motion to approve the, do I need to identify just the agreement or, every
Debbie?
piece in here?
Yeah,
I
there's
say
a-
the agreement between the
The-
Charter
the
Township of
agreement,
Zion.
yeah.
Okay,
Just
so
the
just the
agreement.
agreement between the
Okay.
the Charter Township of Lyon and the Villas at Crystal Creek Condominium Association and Crystal Creek Villas 2 Association, and to authorize the clerk and supervisor to execute.
That should be
And
good.
acceptance of the sewer easements.
Oh, yes, sorry, and
Yeah.
yes, and the acceptance of the easements, and whatever supplemental documentation is referenced in the agreement.
Okay,
I'll support.
all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, well, that concludes our meeting agenda, and I thank you all for your input. Any other comments before we adjourn? All right, I'll consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
7:47 p.m. Thank you.
Oh, right, the Hawker sales.
It was relatively quick for everything.
I am so hungry, I didn't think so. Is that what you just said you ate gummy bears?
Yes.